We now continue with the tissues chapter of biology, that is standard 9th, second chapter, tissues. Now, in the previous video of plant tissues, because I was referring to a older version of the textbook, there was something which was missing in it, which came into picture. That is, in case of xylem, apart from the three parts which are already given over there, that is xylem, trachea, xylem, parenchyma, and the xylem vessels, tracheids, xylem vessel, and parenchyma. There is also one more which is xylem fibers. So xylem fibers is the fourth part in case of xylem, and the xylem fibers are made up of dead sclerenchyma cells. So they are dead sclerenchyma cells, and so we very well understand that the basic reason would be that it is for support condition, for result for the support. So we know very well that fibrous fibers are always for support. So here also the xylem fibers are basically thick walled, have a long narrow cell with tapering ends, and their main function is to support the plant. So mechanical support to the plant is the main function of the xylem fiber. So that is what was left out in the last video. So we just need to know that thing also. So that was about the plant tissues. So the plant tissues, we understood that the plant tissue were of two kinds. One were the meristematic one, and the other one were permanent. Permanent divided into three types, that is, first one is protective, supportive, and conductive. Protective was only one kind, supportive were of three kinds, parenchyma, sclerenchyma, and collenchyma, and finally the conductive are xylem and phloem. So this is what we learned in the last videos about plant tissues. Now today we will be taking up the next part of the chapter, that is animal tissue. So we have over here now animal tissues, which also includes human beings. So that is animal tissues. So the animal tissues, they are given as four different kinds of tissues. There are four kinds of tissues in animal tissues. The four kinds are, as given over here, is first one is epithelial. So first is the epithelial tissue. The second one is called as the connective tissue. The third one is given as the muscle tissue, muscle tissue. And the final one over here is the neural tissue. So the animal tissues can be of four kinds. The epithelial, epi means above, thelial means the above layer. So normally we say that all that particular places which are going to be making that particular surface, or that is just the upper layer of any particular organ or the body, that will be the epithelial tissue. The next will be the connective tissues. The connective tissues are the one which are connecting the two parts of the body. So connecting parts will be called as the connective tissues, which could be anything in case of fluids, or it could be just a fiber or anything. It will depend upon that. So we will be learning that thing in the detail in the next part. Then are the muscle tissues, the muscle which is going to be helping the movement and locomotion. So the one which is connecting to the bone so that the movement takes place. So the muscle tissue. And finally the neural tissue is the one which is making the brain and the spinal cord and the nerves and the sensory organs. So that is forming the fourth part, that is the neural tissue. So accordingly we have over here the four kinds of tissues. We first see the epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue is a thin, protective, continuous sheet of cells. So it is first of all thin. Second thing, it is protective. Okay, it is the one which protects. So that's a protective continuous sheet. So there is no gap in between. It's a continuous sheet like the skin. So it's a continuous sheets of cells. The location it covers the surface of the body and lines the various body cavities and internal organs, including the blood vessels. For example, the outermost layer of the skin and the inner lining of the mouth, nose, lungs, stomach, etc. So location wise, we can say that epithelial tissues are there. You can make a simple kind of a definition to this, not definition, but a understanding is that wherever in a body a foreign particle can reach, okay, in our body, all those places where a foreign particle can reach will have epithelial tissue in it. Like for example, when we breathe in, so the nostrils, the trachea, the lungs के अंदर का part, the whole area should be epithelial. Skin, of course, epithelial because it's coming directly in contact with all the foreign objects. The stomach inner part could be the intestine inner part. So you can see the inner lining of the mouth, the inner lining of the nose, the lungs, the stomach, the inner lining of those particular kind of the organs which can come in contact with foreign bodies, that is the bodies from outside the body, or the kind of material which is outside the body, can be the one which are going to be having epithelial tissue. So that's why the location given over here is that it covers the surface of the body and lines the various body cavities and internal organs including the blood vessels. For example, the outer layer of the skin and the lining surface, lining means the lining is inner lining, that is the inner surface of the mouth, nose, lungs, stomach, etc. Shape-wise, epithelial cell may be flat, cuboidal or columnar. It could be a flat thing, it could be in the form of cubes, cuboidal, or it could be form of columns, so long strips like so columns. So based on that, it could be flat, cuboidal or columnar in shape. In all cases, the cells of the epithelial tissue fit tightly together, leaving no space between the cells. So in all the cases, whether it is columnar or whether it is flat or whether it is a cuboidal, in each and every case, they are going to be placed in such a way that there is no place between the two cells. Those cells के बीच में एकदम tightly packed है. Obvious है, because if it is slightly apart, then the foreign object is going to enter into the body. So that's why it will always be so tightly packed that it is protecting the whole surface from any kind of foreign object going out into the body. So functions, the epithelial tissue functions for protection. First of all, as on the skin, so main thing is protection. Secondly, absorption, because when it comes into the intestine, then it is going to absorb the nutrients, the water and things like that, so it will be absorption. Secretion, as in the intestine, yes, intestine also there will be secretion of the intestinal juices, that's why it is going to be also the secretion will be one of the function of these ones. Sensory perception, etc. Sensory perception means it is able to sense the feel of touch or pressure or pain. So all those can also be seen there. So like for example, the skin में कोई अपने touch करता, तो we come to know that somebody touched you. So we know that sense of perception, sensory perception is also there in this particular layer, that is the epithelial tissues. Its 5 structurally distinct categories are as under. So this particular epithelial layers are divided into 5 different types. So there are 5 main types of the epithelial tissues. So we come first as the squamous epithelium. So the first one over here, in this one, the first one is squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium, it is composed of cells which are thin, flat, with prominent nuclei closely packed. Okay, so they are thin and flat, and they are having a prominent nucleus or nuclei, and they are closely packed. For example, found lining the mouth and the nasal cavity. So in the mouth and the nasal cavity, the lining of the mouth and nasal cavity, the blood vessels and the lymph vessels. So the inner lining of the mouth, the nasal cavity and the blood vessels and the lymph vessels will have this kind of squamous epithelium. The squamous epithelium protects the underlying parts from mechanical injury, germs, harmful chemicals, and drying up. So the main function is to give you protection, that is, squamous protects the underlying parts from mechanical injury, germs, harmful chemicals, and drying up. So it is not allowing it to dry up, so it is not allowing the moisture to go out. So that is squamous epithelium. The next one is stratified epithelium. Stratified. You know what is stratified? Layers. That's also a kind of rock, stratified rocks. Layer pe layer pe layer pe rahega. So it is called as stratified rocks. So stratified epithelium is the one which layers. So found in skin and cornea, it is composed of several layers called strata. So these are found in the skin. The skin has got several layers. In fact, in the sole of our feet, there are 7 layers. So that's right. We can have different layers or layers of the skin. So that is the stratified. That is several layers of the same or different kind of epithelial cells. So they are the ones which will be having layers. So that will be mainly in the skin, that is the upper found in the skin. In the cornea is nothing but that the white part of that particular of our eye is the cornea. So not white part, sorry, the complete part, the outer part over here, which is the cornea, which is the protective layer. So that's the cornea, which is stratified. The next one is cuboidal epithelium. The next thing over here is cuboidal. Cuboidal means what? Made up of cubes, right? That's right, cuboidal. So it is found in some parts of kidney tubules and is in some glandular ducts, those such as those of salivary glands and pancreatic duct. So cuboidal ones are the ones which will be present mainly in the areas where there will be a lot of tubules or filtration processes taking place, or glands and duct glands, so where glands are going to be located. So cuboidal will be on those places. Like the example they are given you over here are kidney tubules. The kidney tubules are made up of cuboidal kind of cells. Salivary gland, the pancreatic duct, they are also made up of cuboidal kind of tissues. The next one is columnar epithelium. So that is the fourth one is columnar. Columnar will be the one which is a long columns. They will be like strands. So that will be contains vertically arranged cylindrical or brick-like cells. So there will be vertically arranged cells which will like this, or in the form of a cylindrical form, or in the form of brick-like cells. These cells are usually tall in size. Columnar epithelium is generally found in the inner lining of the stomach and intestine. So normally these are found in the stomach and the intestine because that is going to help you in expanding the size of the stomach. See, columnar है तो वो थोड़ा stretch easily हो सकता है, so that's why they are giving that particular elasticity to that particular stomach and intestine, and hence they are the columnar type of the tissue that is in the stomach and the inner lining of the stomach and the intestine. We have such a kind of columnar epithelium. Now the columnar epithelium can be again of two kinds. So one is called as the ciliated columnar. So this again is of two kinds. One is ciliated, another is glandular. So ciliated, you know what is cilia? Cilia is something like this. If this is the surface, then there will be hair-like structures over here. There will be hair-like structures over here. These hair-like structures, they are going to have a slashing movement of the hair, and that hair-like structures over there are going to help you to, the slashing movement is going to help you to clear off the dust particle, to entrap the dust particles, sometimes to also move certain thing from one point to other point. So that is ciliated. The cilia, these are the cilia, which is the head-like structures. So at some places in the body, such as in the lining of the trachea, the windpipe, and the lining of the trachea, the columnar epithelium is ciliated. The cells of ciliated epithelium have thread-like protoplasmic projection called the cilia, at their free ends. So they have got that. So if this is a trachea, this is the trachea, then they will be having this kind of cilia or in this particular manner. That is, the whole column will be having cilia on top of it. So the cilia constantly keep lashing and move the material which enter these regions. So there will be a slashing movement of the cilia which is going to move the material which is entering into the region. So that's why this is called as a ciliated epithelium, which is present as a part of columnar epithelium present in the trachea, that is a windpipe. This is one of the region is windpipe. The next one is glandular epithelium, also called as columnar epithelium. So columnar glandular epithelium, we can see that. So it contains some large cells which secrete certain chemical substances such as cells. Such cells are common in the lining of the stomach and the intestine. So columnar, we already understood that they were in the stomach and the intestine, but this columnar also have a glandular part. That means they are the ones which are going to produce certain kind of secretions, like the stomach producing the gastric juice, the intestine producing the intestinal juice. So that juice production is done with the help of these kind of glandular epithelium tissue, glandular columnar epithelial tissues. So these are the ones at certain places in the body. The glandular epithelium is folded inwards to form compact, hollow or tubular glands. For example, the sweat glands, tear glands and the liver. So sometimes it happens that this particular glandular kind of tissue is in forms of folds. They will be in the form of a bundle. So when it is in the form of a bundle, then it is going to form a kind of a gland which is normally present in the skin as a sweat gland. So hollow and tubular glands such as the sweat glands, tear glands which are over here, and the liver or the liver glands, these are the ones which are going to be having such kind of a glandular system which are in terms of folds. So these are the different kinds of the epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue, the upper layer protective tissue, are of 4 kinds: squamous epithelium, stratified epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium. Columnar may be either ciliated or it will be glandular. So these are the different kinds of epithelial tissue which we learn over here. Now the next what we see are the connective tissues. So next is this connective tissues. Now the connective tissue binds one tissue with another and also connects various organs, keeping them in proper place. It is in 3 characteristics. So basically you see here is connective tissues are going to connect the organs with each other, and they are going to see to it that the organs are remaining in their place and not moving around and not getting disturbed by the movement of another things. Like for example, if we are respiring and the lungs are expanding and contracting, it doesn't give any kind of a effect to the heart. The heart is not going to get pressure. इसने सांस लिया तो मेरा मैं दब गया. Nothing like that is going to happen. Neither it is going to happen that the position of the different organs is going to change if we sleep. While sleeping, अरे stomach ऐसा गिर के नीचे आ जाएगा, या तो हम लोग जब भी अभी यानी if you are doing the शीर्षासन, पैर ऊपर करके गए तो अपने किडनी वगैरह सब नीचे आ गया, पैसे मुंह में आने लगे, ऐसा कभी होता नहीं है. Why does it not happen? Why does it happen that we are standing over here, the heart just falls down? Because it is here. It is because the connective tissues are the ones which are going to hold it in position over here. The lungs are being positioned over here, the heart over here, the stomach over here, the liver over here, stomach over here. So ये सब जगह पे they are placed, they are connected by such kind of connective tissues. So that's why I say the connective tissue binds one tissue with another. They are binding agent with one tissue to another and also connects various organs. Okay, so organ to organ connection also is done by the connective tissues, keeping them in proper place. That's the important part, keeping them in proper place. It doesn't happen that I fall like this, the heart went here, and when I did, the heart came here. No, it doesn't happen like that. It is going to remain in the center only without any problem. So that's the thing, that it is going to be in a proper place. They are of 3 characteristics. First is they have got abundance of intercellular substance called the matrix. intercellular substance, that means that is one cell having such kind of a thing, another having such kind of thing, getting mixed up together to form a network, that is interconnection between the two cells, that is the interconnecting or intercellular substances called the matrix. There are fewer cellular elements. They don't require too much of cellular parts. They don't require like mitochondria, and they don't require a nucleus to cell divide and all. That is quite less amount of thing required. So that's why they got a fewer cellular elements. The cellular elements are very less. They are much more into fibers and all. And they are fibers. So they are fibers. These are the three things. What is the main characteristics of the connective tissue? That they are in the intercellular spaces, like intercellular substances like the matrix. They have fewer cell elements, and finally they have fibers. So these are the three main characteristics. Now the connective tissues are classified into three types. One is connective tissue, supportive connective, and fluid connective. So we have over here, the first one is the connective tissue. First one is given as connective tissue proper. Connective proper. Now connective proper यानी क्या? Actual connective means that is actually connecting the two tissues together. So that are the one connective tissues proper. So when I talk about connective tissue proper, serves for packaging and binding the organs. So packing the organs, binding the organs completely is nothing but the connective tissue proper. So let's see the connective. They are subdivided into three types. So there are three types of connective tissues. First one is over here, areolar. Okay, it's the packaging tissue, that is areolar tissue. It is a packing. It is most widely spread, occurring beneath the epidermis of the skin. It makes the skin elastic and helps us to withstand pulling strain. See, our skin is connected to the muscles below and also to certain areas, the bones. So when you hold this and you pull it, you can see it is restricting. It is not like it is just getting stretched so much. Right? If you see somebody doing that particular thing, like you see in a Guinness book that he puts his chin like this and all, वो जो भी कुछ करता है, अगर ऐसा कुछ खींचता है, इतना लंबा खींचता है, तो that is a problem in him. He has got a problem with his areolar tissues. Okay, so yeah, that is normally if you pull this thing, you cannot pull more than a particular thing. This tissue, which is holding the skin to the lower part over here properly, is called as the areolar packaging tissue. The next are the adipose tissue. The next one is adipose. Adipose tissue, we see that adipose tissues are specialized cells which store fats. So जो भी fats यहाँ पे जो जमा होती है, यहाँ पे जो fats जमा होती है, that fats what you have in your body is nothing but due to the adipose tissue which stores the fats which is present in your food. Excess of fats which is there in the body is going to be stored underneath the skin, and hence you become like fat. So the tissues forms padding under the skin and around kidneys, eyeballs, etc. So this part kidney के पास, यानी यहाँ पे ये सब part पे, of course यहाँ पे सब जगह पे there will be so many different places where that adipose tissue is going to be storing the fats over there. Padding under the skin acts as an insulator for retaining the body heat. So yeah, it has got a purpose. The adipose tissue is acting as an insulator for the body. So if a person has got a good amount of adipose tissue in him, then he will not be able to, means his body heat will not be going outside, and that's why he will be not so active. Now let's understand this thing is, the body needs to maintain 37 degrees Celsius. The moment the body, suppose outside temperature is say low, so the temperature outside is, let's say something like 10 degrees or 15 degrees or so, what will happen? The body will need to work harder so that its temperature is maintained at 37. Alternatively, the body should have a coating on top of it so that it is maintaining the temperature inside and not allowing the inside temperature to come outside. So in a fat person who has got a good amount of adipose tissue in him, it is acting as an insulator so that body temperature from inside is not allowed to come outside. Accordingly, what will happen? That person will not feel so cold. Normally, he should not feel so cold because his body temperature is not going to go less because of transmit, or the heat transfer is not going to take place because of the insulation in between, right? So that is how the adipose tissue is helping the person, but at the same time it is also making that person lazy because that person will not be able to move around much because he doesn't require that energy to increase the temperature of the body. See, normally if a thin person, if he is feeling cold, what will happen? He starts shivering and all. So that shivering is nothing but the way or method to increase the body temperature. अगर वो shivering अगर नहीं होता तो body उतना काम नहीं कर रहा है, if the body is not working that much, the body is becoming lazier and lazier. So that is how the thing goes on. Okay, so that is adipose tissue. The next is fibrous connective tissue. So the next one over here is, third one is fibrous connective tissue. The fibrous connective tissue, it is mainly formed of fibers forming cells which forms tendons and ligaments. Now tendons and ligaments are two kind of connective tissues which are connecting the bone to the muscle and bone to bone. See, I see the bone over here. This is one bone, this is another bone. ये दोनों bone के बीच में जो joint है, okay, there is going to be some kind of a tissue which is connecting it. Okay, that connecting tissue which is there is going to be either between the bones or it will be between the bone and the muscle. So bone to bone, when it is bone to bone, it is ligament. So ligament is bone to bone. Now how do you remember this? Ligament is an 8-letter word, Ligament, 8-letter word. Bone is a 4-letter word plus 4-letter word. So 4 plus bone is 4 plus 4 is 8. Hence ligament is bone to bone. Whereas tendon is bone to muscle. This you can always remember directly because you know this, then automatically this is known to you. So tendon is from bone to muscle. When the bones are connected to the muscle, it is done with the help of tendons. And when the bone is connected to another bone, it is done with the help of ligaments. So ligament is bone to bone connection. You must have seen or you must have heard many times that when a football player or even a friend of yours would be playing football or cricket or anything, and he's twists his leg, and then the doctor tells him that अरे तुम्हारा ligament damage हो गया. So whether that ligament, it is just the joint between the two bones which was there, which was just torn apart. So वो जरा tear हो गया या displace हो गया. That is why it is paining him, and that's the reason he needs to keep that elastotrap bandage and keep it for a month or so that it is taking that own time to repair the ligaments and again function properly. So that is the ligaments which are bone to bone connection and tendons which are the bone to muscle connection. So that was about the connective tissue, about the connective tissue proper, that is areolar, adipose and fibrous. The next kind of the supportive, the connective tissue is the next one is supportive. So one which is used to support, or we can see supportive tissue gives support, or that is cartilage and bones. Your whole body is being supported with the bones. The bones are there, that's why you are standing like this. If the bones would have not been, you've been just drooping, something like a, I don't know how, it will be just like a jelly. Her whole body would be a jelly because it is just being muscles and there is no bones. So we have a structure which is because of bones. So we say, that's why we say a supportive connective tissue is the cartilage and the bones. So there are two kinds of the supportive connective tissues. The first one is cartilage. and the second one are bones. Okay. Cartilage. Cartilage is a non-porous tissue. It has a thickened intercellular substance matrix. It has no blood vessel or nerve. So cartilage is something which is a tissue which is non-porous. It is going to be thick interconnected matrix in between them, and it has no kind of blood vessels or nerves in it. Cartilage is semi-transparent. Okay, that means it is allowing certain amount of light to pass through it, so it's semi-transparent and elastic in nature. Cartilage are found in the tip of the nose, that is this part. This is the cartilage. There is no bone over here. This is no bone. This is cartilage over here. This one, external here, the pinna is made up of cartilage. You can see it is still retaining its shape. Kitna bhi press kar diya, retaining its shape. That means it has got that supportive thing which is going to retain its shape. I put it like this. It remains as it is. Trachea and bronchial tubules between vertebrates and at the end of long bones. All the long bones like the thigh bone, the long bone or this long bone, uske end pe there will be a cartilage, so a protective, supportive part which will be over there. So that is why it is called as a cartilage, which is present in the long bones, at the end of the long bones. Between the vertebrae, the slip disc what we talk about is nothing but the cartilage. So between the two vertebral column, there is one particular cartilage which is there. And trachea, in the trachea there is the cartilage. Bronchioles, there is a cartilage. So all these places they are cartilage and they are semi-transparent. You can easily note that thing. If you put some light on behind the ears, you will find that it will be the whole ear will be seen reddish. So you can see the light passing through, so that's why it is semi-transparent. So that is about the cartilage. So cartilage is matrix, semi-transparent. That is the pinna, the nose, the long bones, KHP, all these are cartilage. The next is the bone. The bone is a hard, porous tissue. Very hard, but porous. Okay, it is porous. It can absorb water, so it is porous, but very hard. It has a good supply of blood vessels and nerves, so it has a good amount of blood vessels and nerve passing through it. And in fact, it has some of the bones also have the bone marrow where the blood RBCs are prepared or WBC are formed. So the generation takes place inside the bones. So yes, it has a good supply of blood vessels and nerves. It consists of both living cells called osteoblasts and a rigid mass of inorganic salts. So it has got a living cell over there which is osteoblast, and it also had got a rigid mass of inorganic substance. That means a non-living part, the non-living substance like the calcium and all, which is the inorganic salts present in the bones. So accordingly you have this, that the supportive connective tissues are the cartilage and the bones. You are also given some very important diagrams over here, which is very important because you need to identify those when they are given in the exam. In the exam they may give you this particular figure and ask you to identify this figure and identify the figure. So it is necessary for you to go through these figures properly so that you know that what they are about. Like for example, the first one is the fibrous connective tissue. The fibrous connective tissue is nothing but the one ligament and tendon. So these are the matrix fibers and the nucleus which is shown over there. The next one is the cartilage. The cartilage are just, you can see there are cells and they are empty leucanas inside. So these are the cartilage. And then the bone is like, the ant hill, some छोटे ants like जैसे घूमते हैं, ऐसा लगता है. It's a matrix. That's an ant-like thing. What is there? It's a matrix. And one bone cell will look like this particular thing. So this is one bone cell, and this is the complete bone with a matrix looking like ants moving around. So that is the cartilage and the bone. The third connective tissue is the. So I put it over here. Okay. Let's put it here. The third connective tissue is the fluid connective tissue. So it is fluid connective tissue. The fluid connective tissues are, first one is the blood and second is the lymph. Okay, the blood and the lymph form the fluid connective tissues. So we have the blood. The blood is composed of the liquid blood plasma. So we know that the blood contains about 90% of the watery liquid part, which is the plasma, and then there is about 10% of the cellular part, which contains the RBC, that is the red blood cells, WBC, the white blood cells, and the platelets. So this is how the blood is being formed by four things: plasma 90%, which is watery thing, liquid plasma, RBC, WBC, and platelets. So that is they are given the figure over here of the RBC, WBC, and platelets. The next one are the lymph. The lymph is a fluid surrounding the body cells. See, in our body, the blood cannot reach each and every corner of our body. It is not possible that the blood will reach this point. Yeah, it will reach this particular corner here, corner here. You cannot get blood everywhere. So blood is going to flow only in certain areas where there is the arteries and veins passing, and then the capillaries being there. All other places, there will be a fluid which is called as the cell fluid, which will be the lymph. So it is the body cell, the fluid surrounding the body cells. It is essentially the blood plasma that has oozed out of the blood vessels. They contain white blood cells and not the red blood cells. See, red blood cells are not going to be present over there, but the white blood cells are going to be present there, because white blood cells are the soldiers of our body. So they need to be there so that any kind of infection reaching there may be fought by the body. Both blood and lymph are mainly concerned with transportation and also with immunity protection against diseases. So the main thing, or the main purpose, or the main function of the blood and the lymph is, firstly, the blood and the lymph are going to be the transport mechanism. They are called the circulatory systems. They are the one which is going to be the courier of our body. Why courier of the body? Because har ek part of the body is doing some or the other function. Each and every organ system, okay, the digestive system, the respiratory system, all are going to do their own function, and outcome of that thing is going to be transported to the complete body using the blood. So the blood and the lymph are going to transport the oxygen what we have taken in during respiration, the amount of glucose which we have taken in, or the amount of nutrients what we have taken in the body. वो सब कुछ पूरे body में transport करना is done with the help of the blood and the lymph. So they are the transport mechanism. And secondly, because of the presence of the white blood cells over there, the white blood cells make this particular fluid connective tissue as also good protective one. So it is for immunity protection against diseases, which is going to be achieved by the body with the help of the lymph and the blood. That is the white blood cells present in the lymph and the blood. Okay, so that was about the connective tissues. So connective proper, areolar, adipose, and fibrous. Supportive, cartilages and the bones, and fluid, blood and the lymph. That was the connective tissues over here. Okay.